Hey everyone, welcome back to Raising the Nuts. In today's Play Every Hand Challenge video, my friend Anthony and I take a ride up to Mount Airy Casino in the Pocono Mountains, Pennsylvania. We play some Elvis slots, but then we get into the Play Every Hand Challenge. The rules of the Play Every Hand Challenge are that I must play every hand dealt in unless there is a 3-bet or an all-in before it gets to me. The goal is to win $2,000 to donate to charity. We're 13 sessions into the challenge, and I'm currently up $1,417, so there's a chance I could actually hit the goal in this session. If you'd like to watch the previous Play Every Hand videos, click the playlist in the top right or at the end of this video. Today we're playing 1-2 no limit with a $300 buy-in, and the game is 7-handed. Let's get into this week's cast of characters. In seat 1 we have the Celebrating Magician. More on him in a little bit. You'll see why he's the Celebrating Magician. In seat 2 we have Patrick Swayze. He was there when I first sat down. He's wearing gloves, a little bit of an older guy, and then he disappeared for quite a while. In seat 3 is me, drawing dead to win in this lineup of tough players. Seat 4, we have Bald New York Me. Why is he Bald New York Me? Well, he's me because he's also playing every hand. He's a bald guy, he's got a New York accent, and he destroys me for most of the session. In seat 5, we have RBC Me. He's also playing every hand, so I have two guys to my left that are playing every hand in this session, and RBC stands for Random Button Clicker. He is a little bit of an older man. He's got a white beard, white hair, and he's in there playing every hand. He also destroys me. In seat 6, we have the Ski Vest, also an older man, also playing lots of hands. And in seat 7, we have Puma. He's got a Puma hat on and a Puma shirt, so he's just Puma. Remember, I'll be showing you every single hand I was dealt in during this session, 69 hands in total. There's some really interesting spots that I get into with these players who are playing every hand to my left. And then towards the end of the video, there's some pretty frustrating situations that occur. So here we go, let's get going. I sit down and immediately buy the button, and I'm dealt 9-deuce offsuit. New York Bald Me raises to $10. RBC Me calls, Ski Vest calls, and I call from the big blind. We're going to take this flop 4 ways. Flop comes Queen 10-9 Rainbow, checks to Ski Vest. He bets $10. I just fold with my bottom pair here. He ends up showing down King Jack for the flop nuts, and it was just kind of a sign of things to come. People seem to make the nuts a lot during this session. I have Jack 10 offsuit on the button, folds me, I raise to $10. Only RBC Me in the big blind makes the call. The flop is King 10-6 Rainbow. He checks. I decide to check it back. Turns a 4 of diamonds, bringing backdoor diamonds. He leads for 20. That's a pot-sized bet. I don't know anything about him, obviously, at this point in the session. I decide to make the call. River's an offsuit 5. He bets 20 again. Doesn't feel too good to me. If it were later in the session, I would call here, but I decided to just fold. I think he's going to have value much of the time. It's better than my hand. Sorry about the chips here on the right side of the screen. Eventually, one day, I'll figure out how to film properly. I have 9-6 of clubs. Beautiful hand. There's a couple of limpers. I make it $20. Get a call from Bald Me and from RBC Me. We go 3 ways to the flop. Flop is beautiful. 6-6-4 Rainbow. So flop and trips here with the 6-9. Checks to me. I bet $15 down betting. And it induces a raise here from Bald Me on my left. He makes it $60. Folds back to me. I'm just going to call here. And this is where I have to pause the video because I have to take my phone up off my chips because I know that my chips are going in the pot. And this is the problem with these $300 buying games is that I can only have $300 worth of red chips. And I don't, people have suggested that I use one of these holders for my phone on the side of the table, but I don't want anybody to know that I'm filming, so it's kind of hard to figure out what to do with that. I'm going to figure out a solution to make this better. But anyway, back to the hand here. Turns a 4, so make a full house. I check it to him, and he bets $85. I only have a little bit less than a min raise back, so now the question is, what do I do? Do I just call here and let him continue bluffing if he's bluffing? My thought is I don't think he was going to bluff for another $80 on the river with anything. And if he has a hand like pocket 10s or pocket jacks, I think he's going to be pretty inclined to just call it off with all the money in the pot. So I go ahead and shove, and to my surprise, he actually folds pretty quickly. So I guess he was just bluffing. And we take this one down. Obviously would have liked to get the full double up, but not going to complain flopping trips with the 6-9. There's one limper I raise with Queen 8 offsuit to $10, and everyone folds, including the limper, so I pick up the $5, and we're off to a good start here. I raised to $10 with 8-4 of hearts, Bald Me, RBC Me, and Ski Vest all make the call, so 4 ways to the flop. Queen 8-2, Rainbow, 1 heart, so I have the backdoor flush draw. I decided to check it. We check it over to RBC Me, who bets $15. Folds back to me. I kind of want to raise this spot, I think, but I decided to just call. The turn's an offsuit deuce. I check. He bets $30. And at this point in the session, I'm going to give him credit for a better hand than me, so I make the fold. I limp 10-7 offsuit under the gun and fold to a raise from RBC Me. I have ace-9 of spades in the big blind. Couple of limpers, and Ski Vest raises to $10. I call. Bald me calls and RBC me calls 4 ways to the flop. The 4 of us take a lot of flops together, you'll see. Flop is 10-3-2 rainbow, checks to the ski vest. He bets $30. Not much I can do here, so I just fold. I complete king 3 offsuit from the small blind, just a 3-way limp pot with myself, bald me, and RBC me. We check down ace 9, 7, 7, ace, and my hand is good. So let me give you guys my first orbit impressions. It's very clear early on that the players to my left are going to be very active in playing lots of pots, while the players to my right are going to be very tight. So I'm just going to keep that in mind. I'm going to try to build pots while I'm in position, but probably try to limp in some other spots. This doesn't end up happening, though, because it feels so weird to just open limp when it folds to me with these guys to my left, and I end up raising a bunch of pots. But anyway, a couple limpers. I make it $15 with 5-4 of clubs. Both bald me and RBC me call. The other 2 fold. Flop is king 10-9 rainbow. RBC me leads 20. I can't really do anything here, kind of handcuffed, so I just fold. The celebrating magician raises the $7. The first time we've heard from him. I call with 8 deuce of hearts. We end up taking this flop 5 ways with the usual suspects. Flop is 8-5-4 rainbow 1 heart. So I have top pair here, weak kicker. RBC me leads $10. At this point, it becomes pretty clear that he's just randomly clicking buttons. That's why he got his name. The ski vest calls. The preflop raiser celebrating magician calls. I decided to put in a raise here to $40. I think it'll thin the field a little bit. I think I'm going to have the best hand a fair amount of the time here. And we'll just kind of get to see what's up. Unfortunately, bald me cold calls this behind, ski vest calls, and then the celebrating magician back raises all in to 115. I have an easy fold now at this point, and we'll take the hand from here. Bald me calls, ski vest calls. Turn is a blank, ski vest moves all in, bald me snap folds, no idea what he had, and we get to see why this guy is the celebrating magician.
Down, he shows 6-7.
Celebrating magician shows 7-6 of hearts for the flop nuts. River's a blank, ski vest mucks his hand, and we get another celebration. He does the old triple clap celebration, walks around the room looking for a rack to do his final trick of the night, which was to make himself and his chips disappear 5 hands later. I limp jack deuce offsuit and fold to a $15 raise from bald me. I have 7-3 offsuit in the big blind. There's a raise to $10 from RBC me. We go 4 ways to the flop. Flop is jack 10-9, 2 hearts, and I check fold to a bet. I have 8-7 offsuit in a multi-way limp pot and fold to a bet on queen 5-5. 1 limper, and I have 10-9 offsuit. I raise to $15, and everyone folds. I have 9-8 offsuit. There's another limper. I raise to $15. This time we get calls from the usual suspects. 4 ways to the flop of 10-4-2 with 2 hearts. Not a great flop for me, so I just decide to check, and it checks around. Turns an ace, and ski vest leads very large, and I fold. I raise to $10 with king 10 of clubs. I get a call from RBC me, and the big blind calls as well. This is a new player. He's taking the place of the celebrating magician. This is indecisive Tom Brady. He's wearing a Tom Brady jersey. He sat down here in the 1-2 game with $100 and then went to go over to the 2-5 game, but then realized he wanted to come back to the 1-2 game. And then a little while later, he went to go to the 2-5 game again, and then he came back again to the 1-2 game. So he's kind of going back and forth and never lost his seat the whole time. He makes the call from the big blind as well. The flop comes jack 5-2, all spades. We all check. The turn is a 2, and indecisive Tom Brady leads, and he takes down the pot for his first win. Interesting spot in this next one. I have king 8 offsuit in the small blind. It starts off with RBC me limping under the gun. I complete, and bald me checks the big blind. Flop is king 4-3 with 2 hearts. It checks to RBC me, who bets $15. I make the call. Obviously, it's a big overbet, but I have top pair, and he just clicks buttons, so I have to call. Bald me calls from behind as well. The turn is an offsuit 6. Checks again to RBC me, who bets $25. Straightforward call, I think, once again, and bald me calls as well behind. The river's an offsuit 4. Checks once again to him, and he bets $25 once again. I don't think I can fold against this guy. The price is too good, and he just randomly clicks too many buttons. So I make the call, but then bald me springs to life and jams all in for about $180. RBC me folds, and he flashes a 6, so I know that he had a 6. I don't really believe bald me here too much, but I also don't think he would check shove as a bluff on the river in this spot. I don't know. I thought it over for a little bit longer than I would normally think this spot over for, and then ultimately decided to fold, but still didn't really feel good about the fold. I call a raise to $10 with queen 7 offsuit from the small blind. We go 4 ways to a flop of jack 8-3 rainbow. I check it over to a bald me who leads for $25, and I have an easy fold. Folds to me on the button with 10-4 offsuit, and I raise to $10, and I don't like this at all. I think I should be making the adjustment of either raising very large on the button with these 2 players in the blinds who are playing every hand, or I should just limp the button and deal with that and keep the pot smaller. Instead, I raise, and RBC me calls from the big blind. The flop is 8-6-6 rainbow. He checks. I bet $15, and he calls. The turn is a jack. He checks. I decide I'm going to check here and bluff rivers if he checks to me. I can bluff this turn sometimes. I don't know. I just decided to check back. River's an offsuit too. He checks. I bet $35 just to get folds out of unpaired hands and maybe some pocket pairs. He has other plans in mind though. He thinks for a little bit and then makes it $70. The dreaded min race. I can't do anything about the situation, so I just fold my hand and he flashes a jack. We have a limped family pot here. I have king 4 offsuit, flop comes a7-5, and I check fold to a bet. We are 20 hands in, so it's time for the stat and stack update. I've won 4 hands and lost 16. Of the 4 hands I won, only one was the significant one very early. The other 3 were just winning the blinds, which obviously were then tipped to the dealer. I'm in for $400, and I'm down about $150 at this point. We have a new dealer in the box. I think it was one of our first days maybe dealing, and which can be frustrating, but obviously you have to have patience in these situations. I limp in with 9-deuce offsuit. There's a raise of $15. There's a lot of confusion about who the blinds actually are. I think she dealt in somebody who wasn't supposed to be dealt in. It's happened a couple of times during the course of the next half hour, which can be frustrating, especially when you're losing a little bit, but it's going to happen. I end up just folding, obviously, to the raise here with the 9-deuce. There's a raise to $11. I call from the big blind with pocket 3s. We take this flop 5 ways. Flop is 10-10-2 with 2 hearts. Checks around. Turns is 6 of hearts. Checks around again to the player in late position who bets $25, and I think I just have to fold my hand here. You'd think I'd learned from last time with the 10-4, but no. I have 8-4 offsuit this time on the button and raised to $10. RBC me calls me from the big blind. Apparently I just like pain from him. Flop is 9-9-5 rainbow. Another good flop for me. He checks, I bet $15. He's undeterred, calls once again. The turn's a 6, so now I turn some equity, which means I'm going to keep betting. He checks, I bet $25. Can get some folds from some unpaired overcards and all the other hands that he could possibly have, but he's not going anywhere. He makes the call. River's an ace, and this time he leads for $30. I'm very tempted to raise here. I don't know what he's doing. So I just decide to fold and give him the pot again because he's just going to own me all day long, just going to destroy me. What could make this session even better? There's a fill here. Total rain delay. The whole table gets up. We're sitting here for 10 minutes waiting to get some action while I have my $100 out on the table ready to reload. I haven't learned my lesson. I raised to $10 with Jack 7 offsuit. The normal 3 people make the call. The flop is ace-ace-5 rainbow. I don't always bet these spots, but given the ranges are so wide, I decided to put out $15. Only bald me calls to my left. I'm pretty much done with this hand. The turn is a 5. It goes check. River's a king. I check. He bets $40 and I fold. I have 10-4 of spades in the big blind. Bald me raises under the gun to $10. We get a couple of callers and I call closing the action. The flop is 10-9-6, 2 spades. When you hit a flop like this, when you feel like you haven't had anything quite a while, you're ready to go all the way with it. I check. Bald me bets $20. Puma calls. I put in the check raise to $65. I want to set up an amount where I can jam the turn here. Bald me instantly calls, and Puma folds. The turn's a 3 of spades, so I make the flush. Now I don't want to jam anymore. I just want to try to get some more value. So I bet $65. He asks how much it is and makes the call very quickly. The river's an offsuit 8. I think that's a pretty great card. He might have a straight here. Calling. I shove for the rest of my chips. It's about $150, and he just snap folds. So I have no idea what he had here, but it's nice to win a pot, obviously. Folds to me in the small blind with ace-4 offsuit, so we just chop with the big blind. It folds to me on the button again. I have 4-deuce offsuit. What do you guys think I'm going to do here? If you said raise the $10 because I'm an idiot, you're correct. Bald me in the small blind punishes me again. 3 bets to $35, and I fold. Put my tail between my legs. Probably should just get up from the table and walk away. But we're going to keep going. I raised the $10 with 9-8 of diamonds. It's a pretty hand. RBC me and Ski Vest call. Flop is king 7-4 with 2 spades. Not really a flop that I want to attack, so we all check. Turns an ace and Ski Vest leads, and I just fold. Let's try something new here. I limp in with 10-9 offsuit. We go multi-way, limp pot. Flop is 9-8-7 with 2 diamonds. Indecisive Tom Brady leads for $6. Patrick Swayze is back from who knows where. He makes the call. I call as well. Turns a 4. Indecisive Tom Brady bets $15. Patrick Swayze calls. I call once again. River's the deuce of diamonds, bringing in the front door flush. I think I'm going to bet here if it checks me, but Indecisive Brady takes that option away, and he makes it $45. We both fold pretty quickly. I don't think I can beat anything once he bets into us on 3 streets on this run out. There's a straddle on the gun. I have 9-4 of spades and complete from the big blind. We take the flop 4 ways. Comes 10, 6, 6 rainbow, and I check fold to a bet. I complete 7-3 offsuit from the small blind, and the big blind raises to $15, and I fold. Finally, a real poker hand. I get pocket tens on the button. Puma, who's been pretty tight, raises to $10. He's only got about $120, so I don't feel too good about 3-betting when it gets to me. Indecisive Tom Brady called between us, so I just call. Bald me calls from the small blind as well. Flop is 8-3-2 with 2 clubs. Great flop. Bald me leads for $15. I think he's going to have top pair here quite a bit. Puma folds, indecisive Tom Brady calls. I decided to put in a raise here to $65. I'm definitely getting it in against Bald Me, and for sure against indecisive Tom Brady, who only has about $100. Unfortunately, they both fold, and I take down the pot. I show him to maybe get some credit so I can actually get some bets through, and Bald Me lets me know that he had 8-7, so I did fold top pair, but nice to win a pot. Hopefully this is me making an adjustment for the future. I have 5-4 offsuit and just limp in rather than raising. Goes 5 ways to the flop. Comes queen 10-2 with 2 spades, and I fold to a bet. Patrick Swayze raises to $12 out of his approximately $100 stack. First time he's raised pre-flop since I sat down. But definitely going to set off some alarm bells. I have to call here with king 7 of clubs. We go 5 ways to a flop of jack 6 with 2 spades. Checks to him, and he shoves all in. I have an easy fold. It folds back to indecisive Tom Brady, who calls off his stack with ace-10 offsuit. He has less than Patrick Swayze. The turn's an ace, and he cracks Patrick Swayze's kings, leaving him with about $30. Patrick Swayze shoves that $30 under the gun the very next hand, so I can actually fold this king 4 offsuit. He has ace-jack and loses to the ski vest 7-6 suited. I have jack 6 offsuit in the big blind. Puma raises to $17 after a few limpers. I call, and RBC me calls. Flop is jack 8-4 rainbow. RBC me leads for 15. Puma calls, and I call with my top pair weak kicker. The turn's an offsuit 8. I check. RBC me leads $25 now. Puma calls again. I think at this point my hand is going to be behind Puma quite a bit. If he had folded, I would definitely have to be calling RBC me. This is a really important hand actually for future hands to see the showdown here. The river was a blank. RBC me bet again, and Puma called with queen jack. RBC me had pocket 9, so this is when I really realized that he was just out there clicking any buttons, and that would be really important for future hands. There's a raise to $10. I have 9-4 offsuit, make the call. We actually go 6 ways to the flop of ace-10-7, all spades. Checks the ski vest. He bets very large. I think it was $60 into $60, and I make the fold. RBC raises under the gun to $10. I call from the small blind, and Bald Me calls from the big blind, and the 3 best friends in the world take a flop. Flop is king, queen, 9, all diamonds. Checks to RBC. He bets $15. I'm definitely calling here. Not going to fold probably on any street against him. Fortunately, Bald Me folds behind. Turns an offsuit 4. Great card for me. I check it over to him. He bets $15 again. Not going to do anything other than call here once again. River's an offsuit 3. I check it over to him again. He bets $15 again. Obviously just going to call. And my hand is good. He shows ace-jack of clubs for ace high and clicking buttons. I have 8-4 spades on the button. There's a raise of $12 and many callers. I call as well. We take this flop 5 ways. Flop is 8-5-2, all hearts, so I do flop top pair, but it is a monotone board. Bald Me leads for $20 from the small blind, and indecisive Tom Brady puts in the raise to $65 out of his $150 stack. So I think I have a pretty easy fold here. I'm just going to get out of the way. 40 hands in. I've won 7 hands, lost 32, and tied 1. I'm in for $500, so I'm down about $135. I limp 5-4 offsuit, multi-way pot. Flop is ace-9-5. It's finally a spot where nobody seems really interested, so I stab at it and actually take one down without showdown. These next 3 are boring, but this is the adjustment that I had to make. I limp king-3 offsuit and fold to a raise, followed by limping king-9 offsuit and folding to a raise, followed by completing 10-3 offsuit and folding to another raise. I can't deal with folding 4 hands in a row pre-flop, so I complete 10-6 of hearts from the small blind. Bald Me raises from the big blind, and I call, even though I don't really have to, but we need to see a flop. Flop is king 9-2 with 2 diamonds, and I check fold, so just threw away a little bit more money. I limp in with 9-3 offsuit on the button 5 ways and fold to a bet on ace queen 8. Finally, a pretty hand. I have king queen of diamonds raised to $10. We get 5 callers. Flop is not pretty at all. It's ace-6-6 with 2 spades. The ski vest leads, and there's a call. Obviously, I just can't even do anything with this hand, even though it looks so pretty, so I just have to fold. Back to the trash. I limp 9-5 offsuit and fold to a bet on ace-jack 8. Puma and Tom Brady limp. I make it $15 with jack 10 offsuit. They both call. We go 3 ways to a flop. The flop is ace-10-8 with 2 hearts. Puma leads $20. Tom Brady calls. I'm really tempted to raise here, but they both have awkward stack sizes where I don't know how much fold equity I have, and they only have about $150 each, I believe. So it just makes it really weird. So I just end up calling. The turn's the 7 of hearts. Interesting card. I have the jack high flush draw now. But when Puma leads for $45, it just feels like too much for me to really do much. And then Tom Brady calls as well. I decide to fold, but in retrospect, I could definitely call here. I don't know. It's really close. I was kind of worried that one of them had a higher flush draw. Definitely one of them has me beat for sure. So I just end up folding. The river ended up being another heart, and it went check, check. And Tom Brady had ace 10 for top 2 pair. Puma didn't show. My flush would have been good, but you can't really worry about that in retrospect. I raised the $10 under the gun with ace jack offsuit. Puma is the only caller on the button. The flop is ace queen 6 with 2 hearts. I bet $15. He makes the call. The turn's a queen, not a card that I really want to see. He only has about $75. He bets $26 after I check. I'm just going to call here, not really much else to do. The river's a 4, I check, and he checks, and my hand is good. I check my option with 10-9 offsuit in the big blind. 5-way limp pot. Flop is jack 7-6, checks around. Turns a jack. I take a stab at it, and everyone folds. That's 2 in a row. I complete jack 10 offsuit in the small blind. We have a 4-way limp pot. The flop is ace, ace, king. It checks around. Turns a queen. Money card. Have a straight. I bet $10. Get 1 caller. The river is a blank. I bet $30, and the ski vest who had called on the turn folds pretty quickly. I guess he picked up a flush draw on the turn maybe. I limp king 4 offsuit. We go 5 ways to the flop. We all check down a jack 9, 5, ace, queen board. My hand does not beat a pair of jacks. I thought I had broken this habit, but for some reason I raised to $10 with 7-3 offsuit. Puma immediately punishes me by shoving all in for $55, and I have to fold. Couple more quick boring ones. I limp 7-4 offsuit and fold to a raise. I limp 8-4 of hearts and fold to a raise. And then I have queen 9 offsuit and there's a raise and Puma shoves all in, so I have another fold. I complete 8-3 offsuit from the small blind 4 ways and I fold to a bet on ace 4-3. Okay, all these terrible hands, terrible situations. What do we need to save the day? Pocket aces. Beautiful. I raised to $15. Wouldn't you know it, bald me and RBC me both call. 3 ways to the flop. The flop is 10-8-7 rainbow. Not the most ideal flop, but they could have anything. So when they check to me, I bet $20. They both call. Anytime you have this type of board, you don't want to see a jack or 6. The turn's a 6. On top of that, bald me leads for $80. RBC me calls, so there's nothing I can do but fold. Take one last loving look at those things before throwing them in the muck. The river's a blank. Bald me checks. RBC bets $60, and bald me just folds. So I have no idea what they had there. I'm sure RBC had a 9. But yeah, very frustrating hand, obviously, to finally get aces and then have them cracked. Back to the rags. I have 10-4 offsuit and limp fold. Aces couldn't do it for me. Maybe my favorite hand will work. 8-5 of clubs. I raised to $10. We get multiple callers as usual. Flop is ace 3-3, 2 clubs. Ski vest leads out. I call, and then bald me shoves all in. Ski vest calls. I call as well, closing the action. The turn's a queen. We both check. River's an ace. We both check. And it was actually 3 flush draws here. So bald me's queen high flush draw made a pair of queens and beats ski vest jack 10 of clubs. So fortunately we didn't hit a club, which would have cost us some more money. I limp jack 8 of clubs, which is a hand I would normally raise, but I just have so much negative momentum. I guess I feel like I shouldn't be raising. I don't know. Limp in there, multi-way, flop comes 5-3-2, 2 hearts, and just check fold to a bet. I limp with 4 deuce offsuit, fold to a raise. Limp with 7-4 offsuit, fold to a raise. I complete ace 5 offsuit from the small blind 3 ways. Flop and trips, ace, ace 3. Good sign here. Checks around. Turns a 2, I bet $5. Both bald me and ski vest call. River's a queen. I bet $15 and they both just snap fold. So again, I'm not sure what they could have here, but feels good to see the chips come my way. I know I don't have too much time left in this session, so I kind of want to make something happen, and this ends up being the hand of the session. There's a couple of limpers. I raised to $20 with 10-9 offsuit. The only caller is my nemesis, RBC. The flop is ace 9-8 with 2 clubs. He checks. I bet $25 and he makes the call. He can pretty much have anything here. The turn is the 3 of clubs, and he leads this time for $30. Again, he's just clicking buttons, so I think I have a pretty easy call here with a pair and a flush draw, figure out what's going on the river. River's an offsuit jack, and he bets $45. I have $250 behind. I decide to shove all in. The reason being, he could have so many different combinations of hands that beat me, but can't call. We've seen that he's just out there clicking buttons. He can easily have a hand like Jack 10 or Queen Jack. There's just plenty of hands that he can fold. So I go for the shove. A couple of somewhat annoying things happen here. When I shove, I have to shove several times because the dealer, he's a very outgoing guy, but he's not paying attention to the action at all. He's talking to the other players. So he's not noticing that I'm saying that I'm all in. Obviously with the miss, it's hard to hear everything. He finally hears me say that I'm all in. My opponent doesn't think too long. He makes the call. He says he has a flush. He shows 7-4 of clubs. That's obviously a good hand. The stacks are counted down and he has me covered slightly. He tips the dealer a $5 chip, and the dealer loudly celebrates the tip, which, I'm all for having a good time, and it just can be a little frustrating, obviously, when you're having such a tough session. And, for me, I don't really care that much, but if somebody was, really caring about losing a big pot there, then it could be really upsetting to them, I'm sure. But it's all good, whatever. Let's move on to the next hand. I reload for another $300. Patrick Swayze limps. I make it $15 with King 4 offsuit. I'm just trying to get some money back. Obviously, RBC wants some more of that money, so he calls. And the action's on Patrick Swayze when RBC realizes that the dealer has mucked his hand. He has his hand close to the muck with RBC's hand. He calls the floor over. His $15 is in the pot. He asks the floor what to do. The hand touched the muck, so the floor tells him the hand is dead. RBC is not happy about the situation. He's arguing with the floor person over and over again. It's a big scene here. And I'm just telling him, just don't worry about it. I'm going to give him the money back as long as Patrick Swayze folds. So they go through the whole situation. RBC is still upset about it. He's not happy with the woman floor. They're discussing it back and forth. Finally, Patrick Swayze folds. I tell RBC to take his $15 back, and we just move on with the hand and move on with the day. And I'm ready to get this session over with. One more hand of note. I limp in with 6-4 offsuit, multi-way. Flop is 10-7-7. Rainbow, it checks around, turns the 5 of spades, bringing backdoor spades, giving me open-ended. I bet $10. We get one caller from the blinds. This is a guy who replaced Puma. I didn't even give him a nickname because I knew it was the end of the session. I was over it. River's a jack. Checks me. I bet $30. And I'll give you guys a few seconds here to guess what happened on this river spot after I bet $30. If you were watching what was happening in this video, you can guess. He raised to $75. Obviously, I just throw my hand into the muck. Final hand of the session, I limp in with 7-6 offsuit, multi-way. Flop comes king, king, queen, and I check fold to a bet and wrap this one up. I get into the game for $800 and cash out for $259. That's a loss of $541. Not going to be good for the challenge. I played a total of 69 hands. I won 13 of them, lost 55, and tied 1. There's a bad combination of events that happened during this session. Having the two guys to my left playing every hand and running pretty well was not helpful to me. I didn't make the correct adjustments quick enough as well. And then obviously losing that big pot at the end where I'm trying to kind of force something to happen. Still fine with the play there, but it's just going to happen sometimes. Also, there were some frustrating dealer situations during the session, but that's going to happen too. You can't really focus on that. You can only focus on the things that you can control. Currently now, 14 sessions played, and I'm up $876 overall. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It helps get other people into the videos. And if you want to see more of them, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you want to support more of my content, you can search for our podcast. It's the Raising Nuts Podcast on any podcast platform. It comes out every Wednesday morning at 5 a.m. Additionally, we do the live stream here on the channel every Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. I also did the Rake podcast this week with Jamie Kerstetter and Marley Cordero, if you want to give that a listen. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you next week.